Is the sun setting on the Cape Coral buyer's market? Imagine living in a place where winter doesn't mean shoveling snow, it means boating, golfing, and sunsets on the water. That's life here in Cape Coral. But beyond the sunshine and palm trees, something big just happened in our real estate market. Now, for the first time in years, we are seeing the market start to stabilize. We're officially entered a neutral market, not a buyer's market, not a seller's market, but that rare balance point where both sides have an equal shot. And it's showing up in the numbers. The median price is up 2.5% from last month. We sold 70 more homes in this October than we did last October. That's momentum, and it's exactly why this market's update is one you don't want to miss. Because here's the thing, I don't pull the headlines from the news or cherry pick numbers to fit a story. This data comes directly from the MLS, giving you the most accurate, boots on the ground view of what's really happening here in Cape Coral. So whether you're thinking about buying, selling, or just keeping a close eye on the market, this video will help you understand where we are, where we're heading, and what that means for your next move. I'm Berry Cessna, your Cape Coral Waterfront expert, and this is your November 2025 market update. All right, let's dive in. All right, welcome to the Cape Coral market update for November 2025. I'm Berry Cessna, your Cape Coral Waterfront Realtor. We've got a lot of great information to cover. Is the tide finally shifting? We're actually going to look at some numbers that indicate that we might be seeing a change. So I want you to definitely pay attention, watch the numbers, let the numbers guide you in whatever you want to do, whether it's buying or selling. I just present the numbers and then we go from there. But I'd love to help you realize your Cape Coral dreams here in the beautiful city of Cape Coral. So let's jump right in. First off, we need to know about market indicators. This tells us exactly what's happening. First, we're going to look at inventory. This is how many homes are currently available on the market for sale. A surplus of inventory typically means home prices are going to continue to drop. Less inventory or less supply means that prices are going to increase. Now we have median price point. This tells us 50% of the homes are sold below this amount, 50% of the homes are sold below this amount. So if we track it, we can see which direction the market is heading. Days on the market, how many days are homes sitting on the market before going under contract? And then closed sales. Closed sales is all about the demand. How many buyers are actually here buying in the city of Cape Coral? Some market or some news outlets would have you believe that there are no buyers here. So we're going to dive into that. We're going to see exactly how many buyers are here each month, every single month, and see what that tells us about the Cape Coral real estate market. So first up is active inventory. Now, if you've been following me and you've been watching my videos the last several months, you've noticed that inventory has continued to decrease since March. February-March timeframe, we were at over 3,500 homes on the market, and since then, we've been decreasing. Currently, October 2025, we're sitting at 2,514 homes here on the market in the city of Cape Coral. Now, these are single-family homes. This market update is for single-family homes here in the city of Cape Coral. So I just saw a post on Facebook recently, and it was saying over 4,000 homes for sale in Cape Coral right now. Well, I don't know where they got their information, but even if you add in all the condos, you're still not going to be at 4,000 homes for sale in the city of Cape Coral. So 2,514 single-family homes are available for sale on the MLS here in the city of Cape Coral. July 2025, we had 2,822 homes available. And then 1 year ago, October 2024, we had 2,694 homes available. So as you can see, year over year, we've actually decreased. What we've been seeing for the last 2 or 3 years, every single month, month in, month out, this number was higher than the year ago. However, the last few months that we've been looking at numbers, this number from a year ago is actually a higher inventory than we're sitting at now. Now, as we go with the chart here, you can see what's going on. Last year, we started to jump up quite a bit, ramping up for season. Now, we're always going to see a bit of an increase start to happen around this time of year, October, November, December, and that's getting ready for season. Our snowbirds are here. They usually show up around the middle of January. February and March is when we're really rolling, but that's when you have the most amount of buyers here. So that's when the sellers want to put their homes on the market to get the most exposure to the most amount of buyers. However, last year it was just intense how many homes went on the market. We were sitting at over 3,500 homes back here in January and February before we started to sell off a lot of those homes once we got into March and April into the season. And then now here we are now and we're leveling out. And then October 2025, we actually increased just a bit from where we were last month. And that's just because we're getting into season, and I fully expect this for the next 2 or 3 months to start to increase. It's just a matter of how much is it going to increase. Are we going to get back to 3,500 homes on the market once we get to January or February? I believe absolutely not. I say right now we're at 2514. Once we get into January, we may have 3,000 homes on the market, January, February, possibly 31, but we're certainly not going to hit that 3,500 point like we did last year if what we've seen in the last few months is any indication. So we're going to take that into account, and what that means is less supply than we had last year. Now, what's shown us also that's been happening the last few months is more buyers being here, meaning more demand. So what happens when you have less supply, more demand? Typically, the market starts to level out, and then the prices eventually will start heading up. So we're going to look at that in just a moment. Next up, we have median price point. Our median price for October 2025 was $374,000. July 2025, 3 months ago, $364,900, and then 1 year ago, $395,000. So as you can see, year over year, we're still decreased. However, from where we were last month, we actually jumped up almost $10,000 from where we were last month, and then July as well. So we did see a bit of a bump. I'm not ready to get excited and say prices are going up, you need to buy now. But I would say pay attention, because as that supply starts to decrease and the demand starts to increase, only one thing can happen, and that means prices will start to jump up. So if you're in a position to buy right now, you might want to take a serious consideration in doing so. Let's look at the chart here. Median prices since June of 2022 is where we peaked. And from there, we've just been dropping and dropping. And by the end of 2022, we were sitting at just over 400,000 for a median price point. And then the last 3 years, we've just hovered right around 400,000, a little bit above, a little bit below, a little bit above, a little bit below. This year, we've actually dropped right below 400,000. We've kind of stayed there throughout the entire first part and second part of this year. However, as you can see, we started to tick back up a little bit. Now, is that going to sustain and be like that for the next several months and start to head the other direction? We will find out. But I don't believe it's time to get excited yet. But if you are in a position to buy, it might be a great time to do so you don't miss out. Days on the market. How many days are homes sitting on the market? October 2025, 61 days on the market. July 2025, 57 days on the market. And October 2024, 54 days on the market. So year over year, we're not really increased a whole lot. However, we have increased. And really the biggest reason for price increases, I'm sorry, not price increases, but for days on the market increases in Cape Coral is that sellers put their homes on the market. They have the price that in their minds they want to get, and they're not willing to come below that. So those houses just sit on the market, sit on the market, sit on the market. And that's what drives up this days on the market for median days on the market. Now, if a home is priced well, it's nice, it's ready to go. It's going to sell very quickly in the city of Cape Coral, but median, this is being brought up because so many homes are being put on the market where the sellers expect to get the price that they got back in 2022 or what they could have gotten back in 2022. They're not willing to bring those prices down. And then what we saw happen over the summer is all those sellers started pulling their homes off the market and either putting them into rentals or they just held on to them knowing that they'll put them back on the market this season. So I'm curious to see how many of those folks put their homes back on the market this season that were on the market last season trying to sell them, because that could increase our inventory, but it's not going to be anywhere near what we saw last year. But as you can see here, the days on the market has been steadily increasing since April, February, March. We saw some huge numbers there. And that was because people started putting their homes back in November, December in preparation. And then the buyers really don't show up until February, March. So a lot of that inventory just sat on there for 3 months before anything happened. Next up, closed sales. Now this one got me excited because we've been having typically August, September, October, our slowest months of the year for buyers. They just don't show up. They're not here. I mean, we have buyers, but compared to the rest of the year, that number starts to decrease. Now look at this. October 2025, we had 420 sales for single-family homes in the city of Cape Coral. So anybody that's telling you that the city of Cape Coral is falling apart, nobody's there, nobody's buying, you got to take a look at the numbers. 420 homes sold in the month of October 2025. July 2025, which is a much busier month typically, 443 homes sold. October 2024, 1 year ago, 358 homes sold. Now, this is a much bigger number. So I think what's happening is we have investors here. We have people that are starting to realize and pay attention that we are starting to get to the bottom of the market. They're starting to pay attention because they don't want to miss out. They know that we could drop a little bit more, but a lot of people doing their calculations and understanding what's happening, and they are jumping into the market if they can afford to jump into the market. So 420 sales for the month of October is just absolutely incredible from what we've seen in the last few years. and I expect to see very similar numbers for the month of November. Don't expect it to be quite as high, but it might be over 400. If we hit over 400 again, that's just incredible. Look where we're at. From March, we've had over 400 sales every single month since March. Now, we did get off to a very slow start last spring. October, November, January was absolutely the worst month we've had in many, many years for home sales, January 2025. And then once we got full swing into season, we started to see a lot of sales happening. So I'm excited. This 420 number, that means buyers are here, buyers are buying. It's just a matter of finding the right price point and the right home. Months of inventory. Now, again, people putting out articles, the Wall Street Journal there's articles out a few months ago talking about how the Cape Coral real estate market was crashing, worst market in the country, absolutely miserable. But if you look at the actual numbers, this is the months of inventory. How many months of inventory? If we didn't put another new home on the market based on the amount of buyers that we have here, this is how many days it would take to completely sell out our inventory. And I know there's a lot of investors here that would love to see that happen. They would love to see not another new home come on the market so we could get rid of this inventory. However, that's not the way that the market works. But look at this. So anything between 4 months and 6 months is considered a neutral market. For October 2025, it was 5.9 months of inventory. That's a neutral market. That's just below a buyer's market, which is very surprising for the worst market in the country to actually just be in a neutral market. So are we going to stay there? I believe we're going to hover right around the 6 months of inventory for the next few months. It'll start to increase a little bit as we prep for season. So I would say December, January, we're going to see a jump, maybe February. But then once we get full swing into season, I would certainly imagine we may get down into the low fives, high fours, which would be a very middle neutral market, which means that there's really no advantage to sellers or buyers. So that's going to be interesting to monitor because it's been a few years since we've been down this low. But what I want you to look at is the chart as well. If you look at this, since March, we've hovered just over the 6. This yellow line here is 4 to 6 months. So just over the 6 month mark. For how many months is that? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months that we've just barely been in a buyer's market or in a neutral market. That tells me, I mean, that's a trend to me. If you're looking at the months and months of inventory, that's a pretty good indicator that things are leveling out and stabilizing. So that's what that's showing there. If you look back to last year, October, November, December, January, we were quite a bit higher, but the last 8 months, we've stabilized. All right, I'd like to zoom in a little bit and take a look at the last week of, or the first week of October, or last week of October, last week of November. Let's say that again. The last week of September, the last week of October. Compare the numbers to see how things are happening now. So the last week of September, October 1st, we had 158 new listings, 219 new listings for November 1st. That's pretty typical this time of year. We start to see more homes coming to the market in anticipation for season starting to go. But sold 146, sold 149, which that's great. These are homes that went pending about 4 to 6 weeks ago that actually sold. 146 went pending back in September, maybe August. But what I really wanted to show you is this down here, the pending. So in last week of September, we had 121 homes go pending. If we go down here, 132 homes went pending the last week of October. So we actually are still staying very busy with our buyers here. There's still a lot of buyers here. So once we get to the end of November and we do December's market update, I believe we still might be right around that 400 mark for closed sales, which is really impressive for what's happening here in Cape Coral. So buyers are coming back. Here's another thing to look at. They always show you this one, price decrease, 250 price decreases the 1st of October, 285 1st of November. People are still pricing their homes high. They want to make sure that they get max dollar, so they're pricing them high and then they're dropping them quickly. We're seeing that a lot. People are willing to drop their home prices quickly if they want to sell them, but they're not willing to, in their minds, give them away. Unfortunately, that's been the reality for some sellers. They're having to sell them for quite a bit less than what they purchased them for if they purchased them in the last 2 to 3 years. But that's the reality of the market. And that's why I say, if you can hold on to your property, the 5 to 7 years, you're typically going to make out very well. If you absolutely need to sell your home right now, I understand, and we have systems in place to help you do that quicker and better. So go ahead and reach out to me if you want to learn about how that works. Okay, other key numbers to be aware of. Sold price per square foot, $242 a square foot for a single family home here in the city of Cape Coral. That's the median price point. List price received, 97.3%. This basically means that of the list price, the price that's listed on the MLS or Zillow, Realtor.com, wherever you're looking at, sellers are typically willing to negotiate about 2.7% off that price. Now, with a lot of my buyers, I've been able to negotiate quite a bit better than that. Just a matter of finding the motivated sellers and able to have those conversations with their agents and with those sellers in order to make it work, in order to get you the better deals. So if you're looking to buy, I've seen it a lot of times where people are getting a lot more than just that 2.7% off. We're getting 5%, we're getting 8%, sometimes even 10% off. Got one I've got under contract right now for one of my buyers. He was able to get about 10% off the purchase price. And some of that came back to him in assistance for closing costs or buying down his rate. So there's all kinds of advantages right now too, because the sellers are still willing to work with you. New listings hitting the market here in the month of October. 701 new homes hit the market, ready to be sold. Months of inventory, like we just chatted about, 5.9 months of inventory here in the city of Cape Coral, which again, that's pretty impressive for a market that the media would have you believe is just in dire straits, that we're falling apart. Nobody wants to be here. Everyone's moving out, and yeah, silly stuff. Okay, key numbers. We always look at the key numbers to understand what's happening in the market, to understand what's happening in the economy. Inflation peaked at 9.1% back in June 2022. We're currently sitting at 3%. So we have jumped a little bit in the last few months, but we've been right around the 2.7, 2.9, but we are sitting right around 3% at the moment. Interest rates, we peaked November 2023 at 8.01%. We're now sitting at 6.25%. We've been seeing those trend down. I'm excited about that, because if we continue to trend down, if we get below 6%, then that's really going to loosen things up, and even more buyers are going to start jumping. I've been talking about for months that we needed to be at 6.5% for about 3 months in a row. That was our target, 6.5%. Well, I believe we've been at about 6.5%, under 6.5% for the last 3 months. And last month we were at 6.36%. This month 6.25%. And so we are starting to see buyers come into the market. They're starting to get excited. And if we go below 6%, if we hit that 5.5, 5.6, 5.7, we're really going to see a lot of things happening. All right, next up, unemployment. Unemployment is currently at 4.3% and staying steady. Now, this number here is an old number because the federal government is currently shut down, so the unemployment information is not getting updated. So the 4.3%, it may be a little higher than that. It may be a little lower than that right now. I don't know. We don't have access to that information. Nobody's pulling that information for us. So hopefully we'll be back on top of that next month. Next up, we're going to look at supply. Currently in the city of Cape Coral, we have 2,514 single family homes available in the city of Cape Coral. That's a 6.68% decrease over last year, where we were in October of 2024. 2,514 homes available. And we've seen a decrease throughout the last, I think it's the last 3 or 4 months, when there for about the last 36 months, we were seeing, or maybe even more than that, we were seeing increase, sometimes as much as 20% increase, 30% increase year over year. However, the last few months, we've been seeing decreases in our inventory. It's starting to go away. Now, there's still plenty there for you. Don't worry about that, but it is trending the direction that really benefits sellers, not buyers. Demand, how many demand? So population is currently estimated right around 240,000. I'm sure we're jumping quite a bit, not quite, but we're jumping higher than 240,000 now. That number has been in there for a little while, but I wouldn't be surprised if we're getting closer to 245, 248, somewhere in that range. 5 years, we're expected to be at 260,000 people. By 2050, 320,000 people. We're often ranked as one of the fastest growing cities in the United States. And if you're here and you see what's going on, they're building apartment complexes everywhere down here, expecting people to flood into the city. With that, that's a huge indicator that we are not drying up. People want to be here. People want to live here. People love Cape Coral for obvious reasons. It's a beautiful city. Year-round temperatures are absolutely amazing. And then, of course, we have our canals, 400 miles of canals, which are absolutely incredible, where many people, probably like yourself, maybe you own a boat up there in the north, maybe Chicago, upstate New York, Minnesota, somewhere like that, sitting in your backyard, or maybe in the marina, but you've always dreamed about having a boat in your own backyard. And that's what Cape Coral is all about. You can park your boat right in your own backyard, load it up, load the family up, load up lunch, and then head out for a day of island hopping, fishing. Maybe you want to go to some beaches, just to have a lot of kind of fun out there. And that's what Cape Coral is all about. And it's affordable. You can still have a golf access canal home for $600,000, $800,000, a really nice one for $1 million. So go ahead and come on down and take a look. Give me a call. Let's set up that strategy call and really work together to find you the best place here in Cape Coral. Okay, so is now the time to buy? And of course, I think it's definitely a yes. It's been a yes for the last several months because we've been in a buyer's market or barely into a neutral market. However, here's what I want to say. Options have decreased quite a bit since March. However, we're going to start to see them increase a little bit as we go into the next few months in preparation for season. Right now, there's not as much competition that's compared to what's going to be here once we get into February, March, April. So if you like to eliminate competition, you like to get the best opportunities, the best options, the next 2 months are going to be a huge opportunity. November and December, great times to buy because you don't have as much competition, but you do have a lot of homes coming to the market in those months. Now we're currently in a neutral market, 5.9 months of inventory available. We've been seeing that neutral market or just above the neutral market for the last 8 months we counted. So I want you to pay attention because if you've been saying, I'm going to wait till it hits the bottom, I'm going to wait till it hits the bottom. Well, there's some strong indicators. We're either at the bottom or very close to the bottom. So if you're trying to time the market, you may miss out. My recommendation is if you're in a position to buy, especially, listen to me, especially if you're living in the north, you're living up there in Minnesota, New York, Chicago, Boston, wherever you're at, maybe you're in Ontario, Canada, but you're living up there, getting ready to go into another winter. Why do you want to do that to yourself? You only live once. We've got some amazing properties here where you can be here all winter. We've got golf, we've got boating, we've got temperatures in the 70s and 80s, beautiful sunshine. So stop scraping windshields, stop shoveling walks, get on down here. If you're concerned about losing a few $1,000s because the market still might go down a few pennies, stop worrying about that. Get down here, buy it, hold it for 5 to 7 years. You're going to do just fine and you're going to start enjoying this beautiful weather down here. And if you're one of those Airbnb renters that come down and rent for 6 months every year, that's just silly as well. Get in now. Start getting some equity in your properties here in Cape Coral. So sellers are willing to negotiate still, but how much longer are they going to negotiate? I've been having some great opportunities for some of my buyers with motivated sellers, but that may start to dry up once the inventory continues to drop. So is now the time to sell? Well, like we've been talking about, you really have to ask yourself, why do you want to sell? What's your objective? What's your goal? If you absolutely need to sell, maybe you need to move back north, maybe your job is transferring you elsewhere, or you have family you need to go be with. I understand that. And so you have to understand the market. You have to be working with a realtor that understands the market, understands the steps that it takes to sell a house. Inventory is starting to trend, well, it's starting to trend up just a bit, but it has been down year over year. So we're down year over year on inventory, so that's a great sign for you as a seller. And rates are trending down. So if they continue to trend down as well, that's going to bring a lot more demand into the market. But you have to be real strategic in your selling. You have to understand what the buyers are looking for. Now, if your home needs some upgrades, say it needs a new kitchen, new bathrooms, things like that, your buyers are going to be looking for huge discounts because typically the people that are going to come in and buy those are going to be ones that are investors that know that they can go in and they can fix it up and turn it and sell it for a profit. But in order for that to work for them, they've got to get it at a deeply discounted price. So if your home needs a lot of work, it's probably just going to sit on the market for a while unless you're willing to extremely discount it. Now, if your home's in great shape, it's clean, it's been well taken care of, it has some updates to it already, then maybe it's got a new roof, new bathrooms, new kitchen, or upgraded, then it has a good chance of selling. It's just a matter then of pricing it correctly. Typically, you're going to sell it quickly if it's priced correctly, but we want to make sure that you do a lot of strategic selling as well. We use social media. We use AI to help us put it out to the most amount of people to get the most exposure possible. We understand the market. I understand the market and my team. We're going to make sure that everything aligns so you can sell that home quickly and effortlessly. We're going to get as many people through that home as possible. So if you want to sell, it may not be a great time if you just want to sell, just test the market. You're not going to get top dollar right now, not yet. You may next year, you may the year following. But if you have to sell, you need to sell, go ahead and reach out to me and let's chat about that and see how that looks for you. We've got a lot of great homes right now and buyers are coming into the market. Okay, that concludes this market update, the November market update for 2025 for Cape Coral single family homes. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss another one of these videos when they come out every single month. And if you are in a position to buy, sell, relocate, or retire here to the beautiful city of Cape Coral, I'd love to chat with you. Go ahead and hit that link in the description. Let's set up a strategy call so we can chat together. If you're outside the area, we do Zoom. It's a great opportunity for me to explain to you what Cape Coral is, what Cape Coral is all about, and the opportunities do exist here. So I'd love to go over those with you. If you are a seller, maybe you're up north and you're not here in the area, I'm happy to have a Zoom call with you and chat about what your possibilities are. Now, if you are living here and you'd like to buy a home or you'd like to sell your current home, go ahead and reach out to me. Let's chat. Let's put together some numbers and see exactly what that looks like for you. So excited to chat with you, excited to make realty dreams a reality here in Cape Coral. I love this city, and I'd love to help you enjoy it like I do as well. Have a great night. Thanks for joining me.